The movie kicks off with a young man named Paul driving and traveling with his beautiful girlfriend named Iris, in bid to surprise her, with her eyes blindfolded. Once they arrive at their destination, he removed the blindfold and Iris is so much amazed at how beautiful the building was, as it was simply the grand opening of the Skyview Restaurant Tower. After she thanked Paul, the two proceeds to visit and enjoy the view, although Iris seems not to be very much comfortable, given the fact that where they were approaching is a 494 feet tall building and weighs over 9,000 tons, which is made with steel and reinforced concrete with glass. While they took the elevator, they were informed that the entire project for this building was completed 5 months ahead of its initial schedule. Once the couple got to the very top floor, they were both informed that there was no reservation for them. However, although even after Paul had gone through a great lengths to secure one, they still refused to let stay. So Iris informed Paul to just pay along and act natural. As they both did so, Paul led Iris up to the rooftop for a breathtaking view. While they both tried enjoying the whole thing, it turned out Iris had a fear of heights. After a short while, Iris decided to go visit the restroom. On her way, a part of the chandelier hit the glass below, thereby creating a little crack on it. While at the restroom, she met a young lady, and while they both discussed, we discover that Iris is actually pregnant. Although she haven't told Paul about it, she is somewhat afraid. Later, Iris and Paul proceeded to move to the top view to have a private time and conversation. Paul decided to propose to Iris, and at that moment she informed Paul that she is pregnant, and this really made Paul very happy as he is soon going to become a dad. Just as they were done talking, Iris noticed a young boy tossing a coin off the edge. The coin dropped straight into a ventilation shaft, getting lodged and stopping its mechanism. Back to Paul and Iris, the two head into the dance floor to celebrate. Unknowingly to everyone dancing, that the crack on the glass from earlier had begun to seriously expand, as they all jump and dance. As they all continue to do so, the block shaft caused a gas heater to leak. As the crowd danced with increased intensity, Iris began to feel more and more uncomfortable, but this seems to have already been too late as the pressure on the glass shattered the weakened glass, sending many plummeting to their deaths. For the meantime, Paul clung to a sharp piece of broken glass, trying to survive, but despite his struggles and Iris' efforts on trying to save him, death took him in a diabolical manner. A serious chaos ensues in the restaurant, as the gas leak triggered a massive explosion. The blaze became more intense that countless lives were lost at this very scene. Just then, a waiter arrived at the location in order to direct people toward the stairs, which they all did rush to, but as they did so, that section of the building collapsed, killing everyone. Thinking quickly, the waiter guided others toward the elevator, but unfortunately for them, the elevator also crashed, thereby killing all inside in a crazy manner. Those alive continue to find a way to escape, but nothing seems to be working out for them, as the restaurant had become a death zone. That very coin continued to do more damage, leading to more and more deaths. Meanwhile, just as the young boy who caused this whole chain of accidents was about leaving the building, in a flash, he also lost his own life. Back to the top, half of the restaurant gave way, leaving only Iris and a young black boy trying and struggling to stay alive. But sadly, this didn't last. Lyri's used her engagement ring to anchor herself. She struggled to hold on, but the ring slipped off her finger, sending both of them to their death. The scene quickly shifted focus to a young lady named Steph jolted waking up and screaming from a terrifying nightmare while she was in class, one in which she repeatedly saw her grandmother die. Even that same evening, while she sleeps, this nightmare continued to haunt her. Once she was fully awake, she explained to her roommate that this very particular person she kept on seeing in her dream was named Iris, which was simply her grandmother. She is very shocked by this as she has never for once met her before. So Steph, who now wanted an explanation or answer for what has been tormenting her lately, decided to drove to her grandmother's house, thinking hearing the truth might stop the dreams. She got home and asked her dad about Iris, but he doesn't seem to be okay with him having the conversation, so Iris and her brother decide to visit their cousins, and while they did so, she informed her brother about her series of nightmares. Once they both arrive at their cousin's place, Stephanie decided to go meet with her aunt named Brenda and uncle. Stephanie had a pretty good conversation with the both of them, and she narrates to them how she continues to have this very bad dream and multiple death. However, her uncle and aunt isn't very much comfortable talking about who her grandmother was. They inform her that she just snapped one very day, and ever since then, she hasn't been normal. They also warned Stephanie of how dangerous she really was. However, Stephanie, who was very keen on finding the truth, decided to go visit her grandma and bid to understand why all this keep happening to her. So when she arrived, she was taken aback by how fortified the house was, like Iris was preparing for war. Before she could even enter the house, Stephanie was ordered to empty all her pockets, after which she was allowed into the building. Once Stephanie was inside, Iris herself seemed strange and on edge. She gave Steph a sit and asked her what she wanted, and after Stephanie explained while she came to her regarding her nightmare, Iris explained to her that the dreams in which Steph has been having wasn't just a dream, but her premonition. That is, a vision of what was originally meant to happen. But thanks to a premonition, Iris had prevented the tragedy and saved everyone that very day. Iris explained further that what really happened at that very day was unexplainable, as ever since she had stopped and prevented the death from taking everyone's life, those people who weren't supposed to leave. She explained that death doesn't like it when one messes with a plan, so ever since then, it had been chasing after them ever since, thereby claiming every one of them, including their children, who were never supposed to be born. However, after hearing all this, Steph tried to leave, but Iris gave her a book filled with knowledge about cheating death. Unfortunately, Steph refused to accept it. Iris explained to her that she has been indoors for 20 years and has never stepped outside for once, since this is the only way to escape death, at least for now. She explained to her that death is now coming for her family. Quickly, Iris ran out, so while Iris chased after her to hand the book over, Iris, knowing that Stephanie doesn't seem to believe her, decided to show her, giving the fact seeing is believing. And in a quick moment, Iris finally met a gruesome end right in front of Steph. At Iris's funeral, Stephanie told her dad and uncle what Iris had told her, which was death was coming for their family. Just as they discuss, a woman by the name Darlene, who is Steph's estranged mother, showed up after abandoning her kids for 2 decades. Later that day, Iris's extended family threw a celebration after the burial. While Steph stayed home, avoiding her mom and staring over the book Iris had died for while trying to give it to her. While I was reading this very book, a series of an unexplainable chain of events began to build up. Stephanie quickly realized something was terribly wrong, so she hurriedly drove to the family gathering. But when she arrived, everything seems to be going on fine, until Brandon greeted her, before then stepping on a piece of glass and was brutally shredded by a lawnmower. Days later, the family had a funeral for Brandon, after which Stephanie began to seriously make her own research, trying to figure all this out. The horrific event made everyone to start taking Steph seriously. Unfortunately, when she tried warning them, using Iris's book as proof that death was coming for them all, she narrates to them that since Iris had saved hundreds of people that very night at the Skyview Tower, death had been chasing after them one by one, which explains why it took it years to finally get to their family. Plus, Iris and the little boy were supposed to be the last to die, which also explained why they are still alive even till now. However, now that Iris is dead, they are all in line to die. But even after revealing all this to them, they didn't believe her. They assume Iris's madness had rubbed off onto her. Later that day, Eric, who is now at work, was told to lock up for the first time after his piercing job. Once he was done, he decided to clean up, and while cleaning, a chain hanging from the ceiling got caught in his nose ring, which was then yanked by the ceiling fan. Quickly, a fire started out of nowhere. Although Eric managed to rip out the chain, he immediately fell into the flames. The next day, Steph goes to meet her brother, informing him that she is worried about Eric as she has been trying to reach out to him but can't get through. So she and Charlie went to his workplace, and on their way, they get the news that the tattoo store caught fire last night. Just then, they accidentally met Eric, and they are relieved to find him unharmed. Eric said his jacket had protected him. While they both discussed, a truck nearly took Eric's life, but he still doesn't care about all the event going on. After a short while, we get to see Julia, who is Eric's sister, going out for jogging. On her way, a football hit her, knocking her into a garbage pile just as a truck started compacting the trash. Steph, Charlie, and Eric ran after it, trying to stop the truck. Steph managed to climb on top, but just as she reached Julia, the truck crushed her completely in a diabolical manner. After that, everyone finally believed Steph's warnings. They realized that death was now targeting Iris's bloodline, following the order of age. Although Eric had survived because he wasn't biological related to Uncle Howard, which was his dad. So knowing Bobby was next, they rushed to the hospital to seek advice from the only person known to have escaped death, whose name was William John Bloodworth. We discovered that he was one of the kids present at the tower that day. He told them that he has been waiting for them for a long time now. He warned against interfering with Death's plan and offered 2 solutions: take another person's life or die and be revived in order to break the chain. Although he also warned them that it is risky, giving the fact that if one mess with death and eventually loses to it, things can get really messy, plus they're all going to die either they like it or not. However, Eric, being too desperate, decided to give Bobby a snack containing nuts to trigger an allergic reaction. Eric tried getting Bobby on a wheelchair, planning to get Bobby to the hospital in time for doctors to revive him. But things went terribly wrong as a faulty MRI machine turned on, pulling Eric's piercings until he was crushed. Immediately after, a vending machine coil shot out and drove through Bobby's skull. That evening, the remaining survivor decided to leave the hospital. They plan to go back to Iris' cabin in order to find a solution. So Steph, Charlie, and Darlene travel using Darlene's RV, heading for Iris's cabin to hide. Unfortunately for them, the gate was closed, so Steph ran over the gate. Just then, Steph realized that she was now trapped in her seatbelt, and a series of chain reaction caused the cabin to explode, launching the RV into a lake. Immediately, Steph began to drown. Darlene manages to get Charlie out and begged him to save his sister, just before a falling lamppost sliced her in half. So quickly, Charlie freed Steph and performed CPR, bringing her back. A few weeks later, which was the day for Charlie's senior prom, while they both prepared, we discovered an elderly woman and drop a coin, which went straight into a train track. Back to Stephanie and her brother while they discussed about what happened to Steph regarding Charlie bringing her back to life. A doctor informed Steph that technically, she wasn't really dead due to the fact Steph had only lost consciousness. She hadn't truly died. At that very moment, a train derailed nearby, sending heavy logs crashing down and crushing both Steph and Charlie instantly. The movie then came to an end. Kindly subscribe for more horror recap like this. Thanks for watching and goodbye.